Howdy, folks. Today's video, we're going to be covering a review of the Anvil F7C-M Super Hornet. This is my favorite fighter in the game, and as soon as I saw the request to review this ship, I immediately made space in my calendar for it. Before we dive in, I want to say thank you all for your time. The channel growth has been outstanding, and the comments are one of my favorite things to check every morning after I wake up. If you enjoy the video, do me a favor, click like, tap subscribe, and hit that bell icon for notifications. Now on to the review. So let's start with the stats on the ship in its stock configuration, and then I'll show you my configuration. So the ship is pretty stout in stock form. It's got 22,460 hull HP, 3,000 shield HP, 1,863 DPS, 192 meters per second for SCM speed, and 1,229 meters a second for maximum speed. Stock, you're looking at 2 size 1 Bulldog laser repeaters on the nose, 2 size 2 Scorpion ballistic Gatlings, 1 on each wing, and 2 size 2 Badger laser repeaters in the ball turret. Missile loadout stock is 8 size 1 Marksman 1 missiles. The components are all military grade 3, with the exception being the quantum drive is an EOS civilian grade 3. My only real gripe with the stock loadout is the limited mag capacity for the repeaters and the abysmally small ammo cap for the Scorpions, which is the problem with virtually all ballistic guns until you get up into size 4. Now my loadout is a bit more balanced in my opinion. Keep in mind, I'm in no way saying this is the best loadout. This is the one that works the best for me. I've tried multiple configurations, and this works really well for me. So first I removed that nose turret, and I also switched the ball turret with a specialty size 5 gimbal. Then I'll mount a size 3 Panther on the nose and 1 on each wing. On the specialty gimbal, I run a size 4 AD-4B ballistic Gatling. That comes with 1,150 rounds. I keep the marksman missiles for their accuracy and their travel speed. For size 1 missiles, they do the least amount of damage, but they also seem to hit by far the most consistently. I mean, they won't one-shot anything. Like I said, I mean, they're very consistent hitters, and they do a good job when fired in mass at a larger ship or if you're trying to finish off a weakened fighter. For components, I would recommend you switch the shields to FR66s. That gives an extra 450 shield HP total, so that's roughly a 12% boost over the stock configuration. Additionally, I run an Atlas drive. I mean, who doesn't, for a size 1 quantum drive, and a JS300. You can mess with the coolers, but I haven't seen an actual difference. Man, that light's right in my face. I haven't seen an actual difference if I run upgraded coolers, so I don't really see the point in wasting the money right now. For me, this setup's very well rounded. It does require a few extra considerations when you get into the pilot seat. You have to remember to change the weapon banks for the repeater that's on the nose. That way it's put into the 0. That gives you 31 rounds in each repeater. So you're looking at 31 rounds of size 3 Panther fire from each repeater before it's going to reload. And that seems to do a pretty good job. I mean, you can finish off most light fighters with one decent pass. I keep the AD-4B on its own bank, on the right-click bank, or bank 1. And what I use that for is when I'm fighting those larger ships and I need to finish them off, I'll run the shields down with the repeaters, and then I'll just blast it out of the sky with that AD-4B. I mean, 1,100 rounds does a really good job. I mean, I'm not a min-max, find the meta kind of guy. I've flown pretty much every fighter for at least 2 to 3 hours. A lot of them I have well over 10 in, and this one just works the best. This loadout works really well for me. I mean, I did this loadout because it's a very well-rounded. I can use it for low-tier bounties to help friends. I can use it really all the way up to VHRT without any trouble. I just have to be more considerate of when I use that ballistic ammunition. I mean, I've yet to lose. Once I've started running this configuration, I haven't lost this ship to enemy action against PvE targets. I'm not much of a PvPer, so it doesn't really matter what I fly. I'm a pretty easy target for them. Though, I mean, I have crashed it quite a bit. I tend to do most of my bounties around the moons of ArcCore. And for whatever reason, as you can see right now, it really likes to put me on the dark side. So I run into stuff because I get distracted. Before we go any further, some of the bugs for this ship that I do want to address. Do not try to fly with your landing gear down. When the gear's down, a lot of times the ship will not rotate. And additionally, the ship's going to handle really weird. So as soon as you lift off, tap in, pick that gear up. And when you're coming in for a landing, wait to the last second to put the gear down. Now, I haven't had the same issue in my standard Hornet. So I do believe it's a bug that only affects the Super Hornet, though I have not tested it in the other two variants since this began happening. Another bug that it's really just a pet peeve, it doesn't really affect gameplay at all, and it doesn't affect just this ship, is the HUD for the quantum drive. Whenever you pull it up to jump, is really zoomed in, like right in your face. And sometimes it's so close that it can actually make reading the information it's trying to tell you difficult, because it's going to be all weird looking. I don't know if it's like an aspect ratio issue. I'm not sure what the deal is. I mean, I know when I fly the Freelancers, I have the opposite problem. It's so zoomed out, you can't read what it's saying without a magnifying glass. Alright guys, after some pretty tough to deal with desync issues, making the fight footage virtually unusable because it just looks like I'm shooting at empty space, I decided I'm going to skip that part for now. Hopefully here soon we get a bit more stability on the servers, although they're launching Jumptown tomorrow, so who knows how that's going to play out. But I did want to go over some of the other things not directly related to just ship combat for this. So we'll do a walk around on the exterior. We'll discuss some of the design cues and small details. So first off, this is a two-seat fighter. Though in my configuration, I don't really need a co-pilot to maximize its effectiveness. The wings are retractable and are a great indicator to use when you're in third person and you can't remember if you put your landing gear up or down. There are quite a few options for how you kit this ship out. In my opinion, it's one of the few ships in game that does have some true modularity, just because of the sheer number of attachment points for it. You know, when you compare it to like a Gladius or an Arrow, you know, those other light to medium fighters, this just has a lot more options for what you can do with it. You can switch that ball turret, where I have the ballistic Gatling, to a number of different types of configurations. You can run the actual ball turret itself. You can just put a cap there. I haven't tried. I know the standard Hornet has the store all. You might be able to put it in there. I haven't tried doing that before. I know that you cannot mount the Hornet tracker cap, which is, I mean, that's cool. Otherwise, why would they need the Hornet tracker to begin with? On the nose, you've got 4 different options for how you could set it up. I mean, just on the nose, you could run that twin size 1 nose turret. You can mount a single size 2 gimbaled weapon. You can hard mount a single size 3, or you can just not put something there altogether to allow you to have either more mags for the laser repeaters or something else. I like how the lines of the ship look. Like, it looks scary but still beautiful. Like, it's a great ship. One of the selling points for this particular variant of the Hornet is it's got that small HP bump. I mean, it's not a huge bump, but it does make the ship just a little bit tougher to completely destroy. Some thoughts on the ship. I mean, I said earlier I've spent at least 2 to 3 hours in every fighter in the game. I forgot to mention that I have not flown the Glaive. But this one is by far my most consistent performer. I love the flexibility of its many different weapon configurations you can use. I love the way it looks, and I really like the balanced way that it flies. It reminds me a lot, and I think it was one of the design ideas for it. It reminds me a lot of the American World War II naval fighters, like the F4F and the F6F, Tomcat and Hellcat. Now, there are other fighters that perform certain parts of dogfighting better, but none that combine the no weakness approach that this one does. Are there ships that are faster? Yes. Are there ships that are more maneuverable? Yes. Are there ships that have more firepower? Maybe. I really think firepower is a really flawed way for a lot of folks to look at fighters, because just mounting bigger guns does not necessarily mean you're going to do more damage. It just means each shot's going to impact more. I had a little debate about that in my comments. I like having a balance between weapon size and mag capacity. I think if it's, especially when you're talking about repeaters, if you're below 30 rounds in a repeater, what's the use of it? For me, like, I have a brawling mindset when I get into dogfighting. I like to clip onto my opponent and stay right in their hip pocket so that they know I'm there. And this ship, for me, does that the best. It's got... Yeah. I'm not going to keep going on that. I could talk about it all day. All right, so this has been Eyes of Heimdall's review of the Anvil Super Hornet. I really enjoyed making this one, and I hope you all gained some perspective on why I think this is the best fighter for average pilots, like myself. If you like what I'm doing, remember, click that like button, tap subscribe, and hit that bell icon for notifications. I do apologize for this video being delayed. I don't like being negative, but the server stability has been so rough this week that I have not been able to consistently stay on long enough to record what I'm trying to do. And I don't want to put out subpar videos. I mean, I had to cut out 2 whole sections of what I wanted to do with this video because the server performance is it's really rough right now. Hopefully that fixes soon. Either way, I think I got my point across for this particular ship, and I'm going to keep trying to get stuff out for you guys. I'm doing my best to stick to that schedule. If I can't do exactly the video I wanted to do on a given day, I'll rotate to something else. That way I can keep giving you guys stuff to watch. I want to be your first thought when you want to buy a ship of, well, I bet Heimdall's got a video for that. That's my goal. Either way, guys, thanks for watching. Get out there, conquer the stars, and I look forward to seeing you all out there in the verse.